Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Souls guide for tribes of Midgard. Souls are the life force of your game. They're pretty much going to replenish your tree, which you need to keep alive. They're also the way that you upgrade all your NPCs and keep your fortifications going. You also need it in Saga mode to progress to the final boss raid where you need to repair a bridge. So you're going to need a lot of souls. So here's a little rundown of guides showing you the best ways and what you should be doing on the first few days to get as many souls as possible. Don't forget to like, make sure you subscribe to go and check out the rest of my Tribes of Midgard guides, tutorials and gameplay, and let's go. Okay, so before you even started, make sure you've equipped the special starter kit that gives you a weapon, shield and armor set. You'll get this very early on by completing just a few experience levels. Choose a direction, follow a path and stick to it until it gets to close of day, maybe harvesting a few resources that you can and using your special attacks to take down trees, stone and iron. Along the way, taking down every enemy that you come across. You get more souls defeating enemies than you will harvesting or grinding for resources. At this stage anyway, so you might as well make sure you're doing it the most efficiently, running around a certain direction, and if you have got some tools, only stopping off for stone and iron. When you come across these camps, clear them all out and you'll be surprised how many souls you can get in just one day before you teleport back using your runestone or any of the fast travel shrines that you may have come across. And before you know it, you've got 800 souls ready to go and upgrade your Tinkerer first. One thing to note though, most of this guide has been done in survival mode where you do get more souls if you've messed around with the settings. If you're doing this in Saga mode with a big group of players, you will notice that a lot of the souls you get dropped are much fewer. Instead of getting 20 souls for killing an enemy, you might only get 5 or 7. I thought I'd better mention it because I do talk a lot in this video about getting more souls, and that's because I did play most of this in survival. So on that basis, a small camp, 3 or 4 enemies, you're going to get anywhere between 70 and 100 souls. And around 200 to 300 souls for looting these chests in these level 1 encampments. And that's pretty much the same for all of these level 1 camps that you'll come across. You don't get many more souls just for being in a harder or higher level. Medium camps, you'll probably get around 100 to 150 souls from taking out the enemies in and around 3 to 400 souls from the chests, usually if they're like honourable treasure level 1. Also a little FYI, it doesn't seem to matter if the honourable chest is level 1 or level 2 in these camps, you're still going to get roughly around the same amount of souls. At larger camps, you're going to get anywhere between 250 to 300 or so souls, depending on how long you let witches from the Duckafar respawn. Now obviously some of the other camps won't necessarily have any enemies that spawn creatures, but you can see you could sit here pretty much farming a bunch of these guys and you're going to get souls 15 to 20 from each kill. But you will have to balance that out against obviously the witch here, maybe taking chunks out of you too, especially if you haven't got a lot of health. So maybe get her pretty low and just farm as much as you possibly can, and hopefully you're not going to become a cropper, maybe getting a bit too cocky. These types of chests, these prestigious ones, are going to give you around 400 to 500 souls. And it does look like you don't necessarily get a huge massive increase depending on what level the chest is. Again, it's all just about what size the camp is. So the bottom line, please don't ignore any camps that you come across unless you really have something specific to do, like you've got to go and open up the portal when you've come across the glacial peaks or the dungeons, or you are heading somewhere where you don't necessarily want to have a bunch of souls on you just in case you are going to die. It's also important to take these guys out so they don't interfere if a Jotun comes along the pathway nearby and adds a little bit more danger to try and take it out. If you've cleared these out, they shouldn't necessarily be respawning. I don't think they necessarily do. So definitely early game is when you want to clear out as many camps as possible to get your NPCs upgraded. Once your Tinkerer is level 3, so you can make the cut wooden boards, the cut stone and the raw iron, you want to go and upgrade your farms, and the first one should be the quarry. 600 souls, dump them in there even if you haven't got the rest of the stuff just yet. That should be a priority because you never know when you're going to come across more of the stuff that you need to just upgrade it. If you get this done by day 2 or 3, you are going to have such an easier time getting resources. Likewise after that, the lumber yards, another 600 souls. So bear that in mind, 1200 souls you're going to need probably by around day 6 or 7 to upgrade these farms. The hunting lodge, you don't necessarily need to worry about as much. It's really just the stone and the wood that you really need mostly. So make sure you upgrade first. When it comes to hell things attacking you, you can earn up to maybe 100 to 150 souls by defending in the early stages of the game. Just remember to go and pick them all up, and sometimes they will be killed by the NPCs just outside the gates too. And you may be tempted to leave it for the first few days, the NPCs, to defend the village and settlement, but you are going to miss out on more souls because they don't generally kill as many of the hellthings as you might. When it comes to blood moons, you're going to get around 150 to 250 souls, again depending on how well you've been doing and what type of day it is. In the early game it should be about that much. You'll probably get about 350 to 400 if you're taking out fast amounts of them come sort of day 12, day 13. So not really part of any sort of tips on getting more souls. You have to defend it and you're going to get these souls anyway, but just to give you an idea how many souls you're going to get as you progress a little bit later. If you have got plenty of fortifications up on your gates, don't maybe get too used to them doing all the work. You still want to go down there and finish off a bunch of these hellthings, particularly if it's getting towards the end of the night, so that you can get them souls. If they despawn, you will not get any souls. So even if you've got level 3 gates and you're doing it fine and dandy, always jump in and take them out towards the end just to get them extra ones. The events are a great way to get bulk amount of souls if you need them desperately, but they can still come with a bit of a caveat. Finding the stag isn't that hard, but it still takes a bit of time looking around the area, as does finding the roosters. The guardian of the prisoner at the Dokufar camp, that could be a bit more of a challenging as the guards are a little bit more tougher, but you will get a ton more resources and souls. So yep, you get a bulk amount of souls for completing these events, which is great, but finding them is a bit of a challenge, particularly if a biome's overlapping another and you've got to search around lots of cliffs. It can take up a lot of time, so you really got to pick and choose when to go for one of these events, maybe not just before a blood moon. Doing events should be done early game because apparently they dry up in survival mode after around day 23, 24. You might not get any events anymore. But purely for the amount that you get, the amount of effort you have to sometimes put in finding them, they're not the best way to get souls. That's pretty much the same for the personal quests as well. If you find an easy one and it's simply not that far away, yeah, go ahead and do it. And you have to take care of these again in survival mode pretty early, as they stop, I do believe, spawning after a certain day. But you could waste too much time trying to complete a medium or hard story quest mode just to only get a small amount of souls. You really want to be doing that much later on in the game once you've got fortifications up and you have put some upgrades in. Like, sure, activate one for sure, have one always running just in case you've gone in that direction and it is nearby, but don't make it a focus. But undoubtedly the best and biggest way to get souls is by defeating the Jotun. You will guarantee to get at least 1500 to 2k souls by defeating the Jotun. And it's the same for whatever giant it may be, even the later ones don't necessarily give you more souls as you get through the game. And even in Saga mode, you're still guaranteed to get a huge amount of souls. In this case, I've got like 1,000 doing this with other players. So definitely worth taking on these as much as possible early. Clear out the camps, do some of the events to upgrade your NPCs or your fortifications or your farming, and then take on the Jotun to make sure that you replenish your tree afterwards. That is my best advice for keeping your tree really super healthy, but also managing to upgrade and get everything else you need. Also plan it out properly, go and face the Jotun as early as possible, take it down to nearly full health and then come back to or do other stuff and then just wait for it to get close to your village and deliver the few final blows before it enters. If you're only putting maybe 400 or 500 souls into your tree of life when you desperately need it, it's really not going to make a difference. If you've got a blood moon or the Jotun is very close to your village and you haven't maybe taken it down as much as you wanted. Also, by doing the method of leaving the Jotun to the last moment where you've got their health almost down and letting them get a bit closer, you're delaying the next one to spawn, and so you can almost get it to time that it will happen after the blood moon, and then that gives you enough time, particularly in Saga mode, to go and take on Fenrir, and you will also have a bunch of souls to go and actually put into the bridge that you need to make. By then you're probably looking at it being like the 3rd Jotun that you've taken on. Obviously this only relates to Saga mode. In survival you can just go ahead and put your fortifications up even better, repair them, or go ahead and get even more upgrades for your NPCs. Also, don't discount the souls potions that you can pick up by shooting special NPCs or finding them in chests. This special goblin drops a bunch of different potions and all sorts of valuable loot as well, including a souls potion. Obviously though, make sure you only use that souls potion when you're back at your camp, because obviously if you use it, you risk the chance of dying and losing your souls. Also, just a little FYI, if you're lucky enough to get the rune Soulmate, it's an absolute godsend, particularly solo, as long as you're not going to be taking lots of hits. Pretty much it's good for berserkers, characters, classes that are going to run in there and do a lot of damage, because you gain 2 souls for every hit given, but you do lose 4 souls for every hit received, even when you're defending. So if you're doing this with a big group, make sure you're always the one that goes on the attack, just wading in and hitting as many creatures and enemies as possible, rather than being someone that buffs other players defensively with the shield. You can rack up huge numbers using this rune. I found it's one of the best ones to have, except maybe when coming across creatures like goblins, who do tend to whack you a little bit too much compared to some of the other enemies. In fact, you can quickly lose souls if you come across a goblin encampment, so maybe leave them for someone else if you're playing with others, or just get in there straight away and try and kill them quickly. And it should go without saying that any runes that allow you to keep a percentage of your souls if you die, like 20%, are definitely worth keeping, but it's still a fairly small amount sometimes, so maybe if you've got a chance to get better runes, maybe go ahead and grab them. Early game as well, don't repair any of the weapons that you come across unless you start getting more rare or better weapons. Then it's going to be a lot cheaper just to repair them with souls than making or crafting again. But otherwise, early weapons, just go ahead and make a brand new one, as this will take up resources and not the souls that you need to upgrade. Also, don't forget you can sell stuff. If you've really gone down a certain path, or you happen to have weapons with all the elemental damage that you want, go ahead and sell any of the stuff that you don't think you're going to need at any of the NPC seller or traders that you come across. It's a great way to get emergency souls if your tree really is on its last legs. If you haven't managed to get any of the quarry or the wood farms up and running by sort of day 7, you are going to have a hard time getting your fortifications done. You may have the souls because you've been looting loads, but you simply won't have enough resources. So don't go ahead and pump all your souls into fortifications unless you can actually properly upgrade it. There are some instances where it's better off putting the souls into something rather than risk losing them, but I think always just dump it into the tree if you're a bit concerned that you're going to be going somewhere and you may risk losing them. You don't want to get to the stage where you just can't upgrade your bench because you haven't got enough cut stone, because you haven't got any quarries up and running yet. Them souls are just going to sit in them fortifications doing absolutely nothing for you. It could be an actual good idea to leave some of the large camps close to the village alone until you are ready to go ahead and upgrade your gates, and then just go and clear them out, and that should give you enough souls to upgrade one of your gates to the next level. Now, as I said earlier, you do need a bunch of souls for completing the bridge to get you across the glacial peaks. It's usually around 2,500 souls, that's quite a lot. But the actual portal to take on Fenrir in Saga mode, you don't need any more souls, you only need the shards. You can see I'm at the lair, and I keep calling them shards even though they're fragments, but you get the idea. So if you are playing Saga mode, you've completed the bridge, any more souls that you get, don't panic, use them for fortifications and other stuff rather than saving them for anything else. And also just let you know that once you've defeated the raid boss, you will get around 1600, maybe 1800 souls depending on what you've done as well, and that's going to contribute to your defences if you're trying to last to day 15 in Saga mode. So as long as you're confident in defeating Fenrir, you could actually use that to your advantage in timing it so that you've got enough souls afterwards to go and replenish your tree or fortify your settlement. And there we go guys, that is my little guide to souls, farming them, best practices and top tips in survival and well as Saga. I know some of the numbers might not necessarily make sense to you if you've only been playing Saga or only been playing survival, but like I said, more or less it's the same process. Just because you get a bit few or a bit more, it doesn't really matter. That's what's going to happen though if you play either one of them game modes. That's what to expect in terms of levels. Hope this has been useful. If it has, hit me up with a like and I'll see you rat bags later.